everyone, here is part 2 of hands-free Vinyasa transitions. So this is something that you can do in your own personal practice, or if you're a teacher, you can help your students if for whatever reason you cannot do any weight bearing on your upper limbs. So I broke my arm about more than 2 months ago, and I can't do a plank. I can't do a down dog. And so this is what I figured out to do in my own personal practice. I wanted to share it with you with cues. So there are 3 different options that I'm going to take you through, but I want you to know that you can mix, match, take what you like and leave the rest. If something doesn't work for you, then skip that and sub in something else. So here we go. I'm going to start at the top of our mats. Inhale, stretch your arms up overhead, gaze high. Ground down through your heels as you lift your sternum up towards the ceiling. Exhale, swan dive forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Pull your belly button in. Come up with a flat spine. Exhale, release. Step your left foot back to a lunge. Come down to your left knee. Inhale, stretch your arms up overhead. Gaze high. Exhale, release your arms and come back to kneeling. Now, here you have 3 options. You can stand on your knees, you can sit back on your heels with your toes tucked under, or you can come to the tops of your feet. And I have a blanket here just to pad my knees because I like to eliminate suffering wherever possible. You can also grab a block and bring the floor up to you if that's more comfortable. My favorite variation is to sit on my heels with my toes tucked, so that's what I'm going to do now. So our first option is scapular push-ups. So bring your arms out in front of you, about shoulder height. Your palms are pressing away from you, like you could push the wall in front of you down. All right? And so basically we're just going to come into a few rounds of scapular protraction, pushing forward, and retraction, pulling our shoulder blades back. So for protraction, press the heels of your palms forward, again, like you could press that wall down if you just push a little bit harder. And if I were to come by and run my hands across your shoulder blades, I wouldn't catch your little dragon wing, right? You see that? You're really pulling your shoulder blades across the broadness of your back here. And then retraction, you're pulling your shoulder blades together like you could squeeze a pencil in between them. And really resist the urge here to bring your elbows in it to help, or arch your spine to get a little bit more, okay? Pretend like you're wearing a superhero suit, a Wonder Woman costume, and you've zipped it up and you're all tight, your core is in tight, and your spine is just not going to move that much. Okay, so isolate this to your shoulder blades. And do a few rounds just like this. Pressing forward and pulling back. Come back to neutral and release your hands. Good. Now place your palms on your knees and we'll do a few cat-cows here. So you can either do the traditional yoga cat-cow by coming into spinal flexion, hollowing out your belly, gazing down, and then extension, arching your spine, lifting your sternum up towards the ceiling. You can do a few rounds just like that, or you can do a segmented cat-cow, kind of like in functional range conditioning. So you would start kind of with your waist and then your belly button, and then moving one vertebra at a time into spinal extension. And then once you reach the top, reversing that by pressing your cervical spine towards the wall behind you. Until you come into full flexion and release. From here, come back to kneeling. Step your left foot up to a lunge. Inhale, stretch your arms up overhead. Exhale, release your arms. Step your right foot up to meet your left, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, release. Inhale, reverse swan dive. All the way up, lift up, gaze up, get tall. We'll move right into the next option. So swan dive forward. Inhale, halfway lift, exhale, release. So usually if your teacher here, or if you as a teacher would cue to step back into a plank, then we're just gonna come down once again into kneeling, however you wanna get here. This time I will demo standing on my knees. We're going to do some forest yoga style shoulder shrugs. So allow your hands to be loose by your sides. And basically we're doing scapular push-ups, only we're going to do this in elevation, neutral, and depression. Okay? So first lift your shoulders up by your ears, and then protract. Squeeze your shoulder points together, hollow out your chest, and retract. Squeeze a pencil in between your shoulder blades behind you. Release. Come into neutral. Protract. Squeeze your shoulder points together, hollow out your chest. Make sure you're not lifting your dragon wings up. And then retract, squeeze a pencil between your shoulder blades. Relax. Now for scapular depression, you're going to imagine that you could put your shoulder blades into your back pockets. All right, so you're pulling your shoulders down your back, and again, coming into protraction, squeezing your shoulder points together, and then exhale, squeeze a pencil behind you. And release. From here, what we will do in upward facing dog, bring your palms out in front of you, about shoulder height. And this is basically going to look like we're coming into camel pose. So squeeze your butt nice and tight. Stay strong through your core. Try not to arch into your low back. Try to isolate this into your thoracic spine. And gently, slowly lift your sternum up towards the ceiling. Gaze high, neck is neutral. You're not cranking back on your cervical spine. And very slowly return to neutral and release. Okay, one more option. Come back to the front of your mat. And we don't need the blanket this time. Inhale, stretch your arms up overhead. Exhale, swan dive forward. Inhale, halfway lift, pull your belly button up and in, flat spine. Exhale, release. Inhale, come back up to standing. And we're basically going to do an air vinyasa. So bring your palms out in front of you, again about shoulder height. This is our plank pose. Bring your feet about hip width apart. Stay really strong through your legs. All right, so just imagine that you're in a plank pose, only no weight on your upper body. All right, your legs are working, your core is working, your shoulders are engaged, your arms, you're pressing that wall in front of you away. From here, we'll come into our chaturanga. So bring your scapula, your shoulder blades down, just like we did with our third shoulder shrug. And then squeeze your shoulder blades together as you bring your elbows towards your ribs. And then for upward facing dog, bring your arms back out to that plank pose as you again squeeze your butt strongly, engage your core, lift your sternum up towards the sky. And from here we'll come into our downward facing dog. This is my favorite part of the whole thing. Basically you're hinging at the hips, sending your sit bones back towards the back of your mat, stretching your arms out overhead. Biceps are near your ears, and just, find a good spot for those hamstrings. And then from here, stand up, and you can move into your next pose. Maybe that's a warrior two, or some other variation of a lunge. All right, hope you enjoyed, hope that helps.